Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and feeling significantly more energetic than you did 10 years ago. Imagine your joints not aching, your mind feeling razor sharp, and your skin regaining that youthful glow that you thought was gone forever. For centuries, the concept of a fountain of youth was nothing more than a myth, a dream pursued by explorers and alchemists who never found what they were looking for. However, in the modern era, the quest for eternal youth has moved from the pages of legends into the high-tech environments of Harvard Medical School laboratories. Scientists have discovered a molecule that is being called the Holy Grail of longevity. It is a compound that exists within our own bodies, and it has the potential to literally repair our DNA and turn back the clock on our biological age. This molecule is known as NMN, but while the headlines are shouting about a miracle cure for aging, the reality is much more complex and far more interesting than a simple pill. Today, we are going to dive deep into the real science behind nicotinamide mononucleotide. We are going to separate the marketing hype from the biological truth and explore why the FDA is suddenly so interested in this small white powder. If you have ever wondered if you could actually stop yourself from getting old, pay very close attention to what follows. To truly understand why NMN is causing such a massive revolution in the medical world, we have to start with something that is happening inside your cells at this very second. Inside every single one of your cells, there is a molecule called NAD+. You can think of NAD+ as the high-octane fuel that allows your cellular engines to run efficiently. It is one of the most important molecules for life, second only to water itself. NAD+ is responsible for two massive jobs. First, it helps turn the food you eat into the energy you use to move and think. Second, it acts as a repair crew for your DNA. Every single day, your DNA is bombarded by UV rays and environmental pollutants. Your body has a team of proteins called sirtuins that act like cellular guardians, fixing this damage before it causes chronic disease. But here is the critical catch. Those guardians, the sirtuins, cannot work without NAD+. They require it as fuel. Here's the bad news that affects every human being. As we age, our NAD+ levels naturally crash. By the time you reach 50 years old, you likely have about half the NAD+ that you had in your 20s. When your fuel levels drop, your cellular guardians stop working. DNA damage begins to pile up, your metabolism slows down, and your body begins to wither. This is effectively the definition of aging. This brings us to NMN. You might be wondering, if NAD+ is the secret to youth, why don't we just take a pill of NAD+ directly? The scientific problem is that NAD+ is a very large and fragile molecule. If you swallow it, your digestive system breaks it down immediately, and it never actually makes it into your cells. NMN, however, is a precursor. It is a smaller molecule that your body can easily absorb and transport into the cells. Think of NMN as the high-quality raw materials that your cells use to manufacture their own NAD+ on site. It is like delivery trucks bringing the essential building blocks to a construction site so the work can continue. The theory is simple. If we supply our bodies with enough NMN, we can restore our NAD+ levels to what they were when we were 20 years old. The spark that lit the fire of this global trend came from the research of Dr. David Sinclair at Harvard. In his famous experiments, Sinclair gave NMN to a group of elderly mice. These mice were the biological equivalent of an 80-year-old human. They were frail and had incredibly low endurance. But after just a few weeks of NMN supplementation, these elderly mice began to act like they were young again. Their muscle tone improved, their eyesight sharpened, and their endurance skyrocketed. In fact, they were able to run on treadmills for distances that were 60% longer than untreated mice. Their biological markers indicated that their muscles and blood vessels had undergone a process of re-youthed. This sent shockwaves through the entire scientific community. If an elderly mouse can regain the energy of its youth through a simple supplement, could the same thing be possible for humans? This is the point where we have to look closely at the curiosity loop of human biology. Humans are not mice, and our metabolic pathways are far more complex. Recently, the first waves of human clinical trials have started to come in. A major study conducted in Japan showed that NMN is safe for human consumption and that taking it orally does raise NAD+ levels in the blood. One specific study focused on middle-aged amateur runners and found that those who took NMN showed significantly improved aerobic capacity. Their muscles were using oxygen more efficiently, allowing them to perform at a higher level with less fatigue. There are even early indications that NMN might improve insulin sensitivity, which is a massive factor in preventing age-related metabolic diseases. However, we must be honest about where the science stands right now. Most of these human studies have been relatively small and short. We do not yet have a 20-year study that proves NMN will make a human live to 120. We are currently in a waiting room of science, where thousands of people are experimenting on themselves while the evidence tries to catch up. This uncertainty leads us to a very controversial development involving the FDA. If NMN is so promising, why did the FDA recently decide to reclassify it? It is not because they found it to be dangerous. In fact, it is because NMN is too promising to be a simple supplement. In the United States, if a substance is being investigated as a new drug, it can no longer be sold as a cheap dietary supplement. A pharmaceutical company is currently researching NMN to be used as a medical treatment. This legal battle is a sign of how much potential NMN really has. The medical establishment knows that if NMN does what the research suggests, it could be one of the most valuable tools in history. If you decide to try NMN, you need to understand the practical side. Most researchers suggest a dosage between 500 and 1,000 milligrams per day. It is generally recommended to take it in the morning to align with your body's natural rhythm. In terms of side effects, the short-term data is very encouraging. However, we must discuss a theoretical concern. Since NAD+ fuels cellular growth, some worry that it could fuel existing cancer cells. While there is no evidence that NMN causes cancer, if you have an active tumor, giving it high-octane fuel might be risky. This is why it is vital to work with a doctor who understands longevity science before you start. Remember that no pill can replace a healthy life. NMN is not a substitute for a bad diet. The most effective way to naturally boost your NAD+ levels is through healthy stressors like intermittent fasting and high-intensity exercise. These activities signal your cells to ramp up their repair mechanisms and produce more internal fuel. You should think of NMN as a powerful force multiplier. It enhances the benefits of your healthy habits. The science of longevity is moving faster than any other field. Every month, new discoveries bring us closer to solving the mystery of aging. If staying on the cutting edge of your health and performance is a priority, then you have come to the right place. We spend hundreds of hours researching these topics so that you don't have to navigate this world alone. To make sure you are always updated on the newest breakthroughs, click that subscribe button right now. By joining this community, you are choosing to stay informed. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you tried NMN, or are you waiting for more data? Let's start a conversation about our future. Thank you for watching and for being part of this journey toward human potential. I will see you in the next deep dive. Stay curious, stay healthy.